Hi everyone and welcome to Adobe Live. We're coming to you live from the land of the Dharawal people and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name's Flynn. I'm delighted to be here with you. We are live, so we always love to hear from you in chat. Let us know where you're from, where you're tuning in from. And I'm very delighted to be joined once again by Dale Bigeni, illustrator and artist from Sydney, Australia. What's up, dude?
Oh man, same old, same old. Just another day in paradise. One day sunny, one day rainy.
Yeah, that's it. We're on like hump day, midweek grind. I think we were having a bit of a chat about,
Yeah.
that's okay. Hey, guess what? You're exactly halfway through the week.
Oh man, the end's looking very bright. I can't wait. God.
It be like that, don't it?
Yeah.
It's really cool to have you. Thanks for taking a bit of a break out of your very busy schedule to hang out with us a little bit and continue working on this poster project. So, for those that have missed the last couple of streams or you want to know what's going on, we're asking some of our favorite creators to come on Adobe Live and tackle a poster project based on the concept of home. So, and what their interpretation is of that. I think Dale, you were on a fortnight ago, like
Yeah,
was
2 weeks.
it
Yeah.
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. It seems like yesterday. And it's cool. You're just going to be picking up from where you left off. Chat's live. Hi, Annika in the chat. And everyone else, it's always great to hear from you if you're in chat. But we don't have a ton of time. We're also going to be live with another creator, which I'll introduce in a little bit after this. So we're here for a short time. So let's jump over. Let's jump over to your screen and pick up kind of where we
Sweet.
left off.
Yeah, cool. Well, a little bit of just an overview of what we're doing if you didn't tune in, is the home concept. My home is basically, it's just exactly what home is. The things that make me passionate to go home, be at home, they make me me.
Mm.
And we decided we're going to go for tattoo flash kind of style poster. So this is kind of where we got to last time. You can always look back at that stream and have a deep dive into what exactly was going on. But this is it. This is where we got to. We got a couple of things. Oops, sorry. We got a couple of things here that kind of resembled home for me, and it was obviously family. I love our little cat. He's our little dude. He's our little, like, almost like a family mascot. We've got a lot of art, plants, and kind of like skateboarding stuff around the house. So the skateboarding and the plants is kind of resembles that side of it. It is very like straightforward. It's not anything special. It's not. I'm not really you know. Well, I was gonna say, unfortunately, only just from Blacktown, from Australia. I've never really lived anywhere else, but this is home, and I'm proud to be from here. So this is my take on what home is. It's a little bit of a rougher, um, you know, it's an area where you have to be strong, I think. So like I wanted this to feel tough. I wanted it to feel like, tattoos resemble tough guys
Yeah.
in inverted commas. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was my concept. We did a few sketches and I kind of just I knew we are going to be pressed for time, so I did pre-cook some illustrations to were revised off this, so you can see they're our originals. And then I started sketching out some kind of more fleshed out designs, so
Yeah.
you can see, and I did change the layout a bit just to kind of appease my eye and kind of the layout.
Mm.
The flash sheets are usually quite busy and quite the designs do come very close in a lot of them, and I think full is better. I do want to go in here and resize a few things and just change that layout to make sure that it feels like there's a little bit of breathing space, and I still want to get some typography that we spoke about as well in the first stream. So yeah, in terms of how I get from, you know, sorry, I'm playing with these, I pass it. So I get from here to the other point is it is a lot longer, probably longer than this stream will allow. But to refine art, there's a lot of different ways I'll approach it. Sometimes it's reference art, photography, stock photography. I do use Firefly a lot for a lot of my stuff lately, just because it's so quick and it's so like I just find it really it's quite solid when I type in my prompts and stuff. So I might type in like cat head with beanie or something, and it's so like it's great. So I just use that as my starting point.
Yeah.
I I'm a firm believer of, working smart, not hard, and I use all these tools to my advantage, and this is how I come up with these sketches. So a lot of it's freehand stuff that I'm consistently drawing, which is kind of like skulls and tattoo kind of stuff related.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just a matter of like refining it to the point where it's like, okay, I know where shadows live, so you can see on here, you can see some dark points, some light points,
Yeah.
because I know when I go to draw my next version, which is the refined black layer, it's just going to be a hell of a lot easier. But before I do that, I think I'm going to try to get some custom kind of type in here, but I'm going to build it in true Dale fashion, and it's just going to be a little bit of a bit of a hack job for this. But first, I'm going to just scale these down a little bit because they were feeling a little bit crowded. So I'm just going to scale these down.
Cool. I love the cat.
Yeah, that's actual outfit that he wears in the house, gold chain, pair of Wayfarers. You want
It's
to make
cool.
it, yeah, I want to
Kendrick
give,
fan,
yeah, probably at this point, like everyone else.
like everyone.
Yeah, and we don't. Oh, actually, we do have a pot plant that's a skull. I bought it from IKEA a very long time ago,
Nice.
and the snap skateboard is pretty much how they all end up anyway, broken and battered. So I'm just gonna do some really minor adjustments to the size. I know I did say I was going to put copy at the bottom, but I think for the purpose of this, I'm just going to leave it as images and a bit of type.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to do my postcode in here because I think it's very for the streets. It's like it feels when people put postcodes, it's a you know if you know kind of thing. So I'm gonna just pick any kind of type and I'm just gonna run it down here. I think I want to go vertical because it might just be a nice way to fill this gap. So I'm just gonna grab any kind of something that's kind of like a bit wide for me so that I can build off this. And I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but
Yeah.
it could be better to go at sideways in the gap and then put some more little fillers or something like that. But with type, I like to just get something in just as like a bones layer, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna obviously you can see there's a lot of I have quite a lot of fonts here, and obviously in Adobe it's kind of endless the amount of fonts you can have, and
Yeah.
so this spinning wheel there. Sorry. All right, so I'm just gonna put in.
When you're like kind of doing the bones of a font, like not live, because obviously, limited time.
Yeah.
But if you're home, working on a piece, are you very selective about the base font, or does it not matter so much? You just kind of like serif or sans serif or a script font, like depending on kind of the vibe, and then you build it so much that it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess for me, it's kind of like, well, I know I want this to be kind of condensed. That's all I know at this point. So I want it condensed. I don't know what this font is. I'm not too like worried about how it looks, but say I want to use a tighter font, I'll just grab something like this, and this is what I'll build off. These angles on the E won't matter. The point on the M won't matter. Because it's all going to get skewed and distorted and drawn over, and I do still want it to feel like it was something that I created. I'm not taking credit for the font that it was created from. I'm taking credit for where it ends up. So for this, let's just talk about this type for now. I'm just going to switch off these layers because I just want to clean it here. So I already knew that I wanted it kind of to the condensed font for the sake of getting it as big as I can across that kind of arced shape. So I'll just go in, and obviously everything's going to be very rough still, but I just want to rasterize the type. Like I said, I'm not too worried about what happened then?
Oh,
sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
I always do that.
So I'll just use the warp tool first, and I'll just like kind of pull this into kind of the shape that I want,
Yeah.
and like, you know, just like tweaking it. Like this is nothing no one hasn't seen before, but the warp tool, or warping it kind of free instead of using the preset kind of like arcs and
Yeah.
bulge. And I think this is kind of cool because if I do want something like I want to do multiple kind of like warps in the text, this is just easier for me. Like I can bring this in,
Yeah.
you know, and then straight in the middle a little bit more. I feel like you got a bit more control doing it this way.
Mm.
So I like to do this. That's up to anyone else how they want to use this kind of tool, but I do like that it's a bit more, I don't know, feel a bit more free with it.
Yeah. And does it like, it might add like a little bit of handcraftedness to it
Yeah,
as well?
exactly.
Because it's not that pixel perfect mirrored arc. It's like
No,
slightly off.
yeah, well, and it always will be because obviously, like you can see these points do not align, so I already know that I've bent it out
Yeah.
of shape. Like it's nowhere near symmetrical, but that's okay because, like I said, I want to use this as the bones of kind of the font. So I'll just do that, and then let's just lock this one in for the sake of I don't want to spend too much time in there. Sorry, the H's that you can already see, like it looks real warped on here. Obviously, the shape of the letters isn't gonna, you know, always align in terms of like look and curve, so I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I just drop that kind of back. Might even turn my little template off, and then I'll just get like a pencil. Oh, sorry, I use brush. I don't even use the pencil, and I just use the hard brown pressure size that's selected. I've got my little pen for my Wacom, so this is always like a little bit easier, and I am very lucky, I think, to be able to do art this way and feel like a lot of it is very natural and true to
Yeah.
kind of like, you know, the origins of like where we learned how to draw. So I'll just go in, and maybe I'm just gonna just turn the opacity down on the brush as well. So I could go over and like just literally trace this now, and then it would give it kind of like a hand feel to that font.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I could do. I could change these shapes, so I know this is the H shape, but I know I can go in now and do like, maybe like you said, maybe I want to add some, you know, some extra serifs or like some kind of like points to the end and things like that. Use it to kind of just like craft a little bit extra that's going on. But the same thing goes for this. Maybe you don't want the kind of square finish on that, so I'll go in and kind of make these kind of tweaks. That would be the most basic, where it's like I am still using that, but I want to have more curve. I want to have more of kind of like, you know, like I said, I didn't use the font because that's what I wanted. It's just like it was a bones font of like something condensed. Obviously, there's always the joy and crafting of typography, but that's a whole job in itself. So
Yeah.
this
Totally.
is I'd call it like the life hack of custom type.
Yeah.
It's like, it's, yeah, you can do it like that. So I'm gonna kind of go with that kind of direction where it's a little bit like Metallica, kind of like gonna have kind of like a rocky kind of vibe to it. I want it to kind of be 3D and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to do this really quick. So I want to do some of these. So I'm not gonna do the serifs on every side.
Is the part, chat, where I don't want to interrupt because it's like trying to concentrate.
Oh no, that's all right. So say I want to do something like this. So obviously it's very rough, and also I'm working at speed, so you know it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is a really cool technique, I think, for those just joining us, like picking a Bones font and then kind of using the warp tool to manipulate it into kind of close to the shape that you want. But then, yeah, I think a big takeaway is that you're not locked in to, the negative space in between. Like Dale's completely changing the shape of this O, just
Yeah.
on vibes, like just whatever you feel like, and
When I think
adding serifs and whatever you want to it.
When I think it also is good because you know that whoever crafted this font, and sorry, I can't credit them, but they've already worked out that all these are kind of going to be the same measurements and widths and stuff. So for me to build off that, at least if I keep it kind of within their font, I know that this space here and this space here is even.
Yeah.
As much as I'm doing custom, I still want it to feel like I want it to look cohesive and I want it to feel like a nice design. So I might just do some of this stuff, like add some little hooks and stuff. I want to give it just a little bit more attitude.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's rough for now because this would be treated exactly the same as like if I was working on the concept sketches of like the cat head. It's always going to be really rough, and then I'll spend that extra couple of hours refining and going in and adding all these details and stuff. So yeah, I'm not too like precious at this point, I guess, but I do want to like kind of the closest I can get to being finessed is just easier in the next part of my process. So yes, real basic like addition, but like maybe it's gonna change the whole thing, like the whole feel of the design. I might try to get some of these in.
I know you were talking about like a Metallica kind of style inspiration or something for it. Obviously the tips are serifs. Is it still a serif? Do we know if it's in the middle like that, or is it just like a flare? I wonder what the technical word is for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's just call them the spiky bit.
Spiky bit. Yeah.
The technical term is the spiky bit.
Yeah. It's probably got a name. It's like all things with like typography and lettering. There'll be some technically correct name that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, look, I'm not quite from there. I really like incorporating text into whatever I do. And most of my pieces always have like a text element to it. But I would never call myself a typographer because that's like a new crown. You need to earn that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother specialization, right?
Yeah, and hats off to those guys that sit there for ages, like developing fonts and creating fonts and making that their job to sell.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's like and look, there's probably a font that's close enough to this that I could have used, but I still like doing this for the whole thing. Like we said, having kind of your handcrafted touch to it adds a lot.
Oh, definitely. Even if you did this again, it'd be slightly different.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got these guys. Alright, and then I can have like I can have a look at this now. I can see that it's a bit kind of like, well, obviously it's very different to what we started with here. Like, yeah, it's not. Like I said, I'm definitely not taking credit for any part of it, except I'm having a go at making it my own, adding these things to it to feel like it's a new, not a new typeface, but to complement my artwork. And that's what's important. It's about there's 1,000 tools online that people would use, and I don't think it's stealing. I don't think it's taking credit for anything that's not yours. I think using the assets we have that's the changing world. I think at this point, if you don't use what's at your kind of disposal, then you're just going to take forever to do anything these days.
Oh, for sure. And I'm pretty sure that when creating a typeface, like often you'll start with a base
Yeah, of course.
like font anyway. Like it's kind of like, if you've got this idea of, again, not a typographer, but I don't think you start from complete scratch either. Like
No,
I think you would
no.
start from a like a starting point and then do, add personality to it and play with the width, and
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
yeah,
Man,
it's a
that's
little bit
what.
like not using a grid when you need a grid and being like, well, I have to create it from scratch. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. And now I can just gonna get a center point here, and I don't know how good this is gonna work, but oh, my guides aren't showing. So I just want to put this center point in here, and then I want to go in, and with this on a new layer with the symmetry tool, I just want to see where this kind of lands. So I'm just going to use the symmetry tool here and put it on that center point.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of this tool, and I don't even hide it. Alright, so then I just want to kind of like test some lines here. So I've got a new layer, and then I'm just going to go in and kind of like from here see where this, how I can do this 3D, how much I want it to kind of be extruded. And I'm just doing some like, they're obviously not on the letters correctly, but it gives me a better kind of understanding of kind of what I want to do with that type. So then I can do some, I think illustrating is always going to be more guidelines than actual, when you finish all those guidelines, you would think there would be so much more detail, but you end up with so much less, but crucial to most artwork, I think. Yeah, so I might want it kind of like this. Again, just see where these lines fall, kind of get the right.
This is a cool use of the symmetry tool. I like that.
Yeah, I think kind of, and then I can like, obviously because they're a glide, I can knock this back. And then I can go, okay, well, I know that's the shape. So now I can go in and kind of turn that symmetry tool off, which is just up here. For those who want to know, it's up here, this little butterfly when you're on the, well, it looks like a butterfly. When you're on the brush tool and you just turn it on, vertical, horizontal, have a play with these. I literally only use vertical ever. And then you just turn it off, and that just makes sure that it's no longer kind of doing what it's built for. And then I'll just go in and I can use those and kind of work my way. And I always forget to turn the snap to guide thing off, and it does that little, when it like gets close to the line and does that thing.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty frustrating, but there's
I always do that in Illustrator, like something will just not quite be snapping like right to the pixel that I want, and then I go in to change the settings. There's about 5 different settings and I never know which one it is.
Oh yeah, turn off snap to XXX, all of them. Yeah,
all of them.
Turn all of them off. Don't.
Always happens when you're getting to the nitty gritty of like a design, like if you're trying to do a logo or you're trying to do like an icon or something, and it just won't like go exactly in the right spot. Yeah, I love this like mix of like understanding where perfect is, but then not actually trying for the end result to be perfect. Like using the base of the letters. So like, cool, I'm starting from something that I know is close to technically correct, but then adding that hand touch kind of thing to it. And the symmetry tool is kind of similar. Like you're bringing that in and then going, okay, cool, that's kind of basically where it makes sense to the human eye, like because that's technically correct. But then coming in and like doing the hand drawn stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, I think that's a big part of everything I do. I'm not I don't know if is the word, like um I'm not that concerned about how real things look. I think because art is so subjective, and at the end of the day, it's kind of like, does it make your eye think it's 3D, or like I think there are guys out there that do a fantastic job at like um you know anatomically correct and things like that. But I kind of like leaning into where it's helped me this whole time, and that is like, if I want 7 different light sources, I can do what I want. I'm the artist. Like, that's my version. I know that Bill Hope is on tomorrow, and
Oh, he's on today. He's on after you.
oh,
He's on
okay.
next. Yeah.
So, and he's like, just, I watch him draw, and it's like his eye only sees exactly how things should look, and I love it. I love
Right.
that people have that kind of like flex in art. You can do it your way, and no one's here to judge you. No one says, Flynn, you're terrible because you can't draw a 3D sphere and get the lighting correct. I say, oh, that's cool. He did it his way, So
Yeah, totally.
perfect isn't always it doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. And also at this point in, I guess, like the process, it can be a little bit rough. No one's here to kind of tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
So like I said, this is all very, very rough. But now I can see if this is gonna, and again, tattoo flash sheets don't even generally have typography like this. They usually have like a little stamp or a sign off from the artist, and it's usually just like, something like really, really basic in the artwork to not take away. But so this is definitely like a hybrid, and my take on that kind of artwork. So we can see we've come up with this. I'm just gonna group all these. So make a little group, call it text. And now, instead of this being the bones that I'm building on, I can delete this layer and say I won't delete it, but I can delete it and then say this is the base of what I want to build on, so, and that becomes my concept. So it's almost like a double handling, kinda, I guess. But now I can go in and go, okay, now how do I fit all these, or what do I do to the type to make it work better in the arrangement? So for the sake of this, I'm gonna merge all of this. And the black's very intrusive, so I'm just gonna drop that a lot.
Nice.
And then I might go in here and go, oh, okay, well, I like this not to cover so much of the H. I'll just create a couple of new layers here so that I can, might do that. Scale this one down a bit more too. I could probably add a few more elements, but I really don't. I don't want to crowd it either. I still want to get some. I've got a couple of little like flower fillers we can put in, as I think I had them in the first initial sketch, like some little basic ones. But I might want to get some copy into this section here at a later stage, and then I'm gonna do the same kind of thing. But like, maybe I'm just gonna do like a bit of a banner in here. Oh, yeah, I'll do it on the text. So maybe I'm not even gonna find the center of the page. I'm just gonna draw it in here. So that's a little, maybe that's where I'm gonna put it. And then I want it to be kind of, so I'm like clicking all the buttons that I shouldn't be. And maybe I'm just gonna do another kind of like banner shape in here. That's okay for him to go behind. Like I said, this is my take on another art form, I guess. So just gonna do this little banner.
It's cool even then to see like you're setting yourself a guide as well. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Right from the start. It's cool.
That is and there's a lot of room to play in Photoshop, especially. Like, I think I like how loose and how kind of like free it is. So I
Yeah.
can just, maybe I'm just gonna create like a little bit of a.
Oh, he's drawn banners before.
This is the one thing that I draw a lot of them, but I'll change the shape 1,000 times before I'm happy.
Oh,
And
really?
you'll tune back in and it'll be somewhere else and or not exist or something. Um, and then I might just like, I'm just gonna leave it in full kind of like shape, but once I get a locked position, I will go in and get rid of stuff to see how it interacts. Because as soon as I take away these parts that I'm erasing at the moment, I can see sometimes the shape of the banner gets a little bit lost, and
Oh, right. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It doesn't have the same flowing effect and stuff, but
Yeah.
for the sake of what we're doing today, I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to put my little, so I might just, this is my other version of creating my type is just, so I want to do the postcode. So there's only 4 letters, sorry, 4 numbers, so let's just put in. So obviously this would be version 2 of creating type, where it's just, I'll just put it in there as like rough as possible, and then I can go in and do the same kind of, I guess, procedure as we just did.
Yeah.
And I can go in and start like again, get that back. So it works exactly the same, right? So I know that's my font. Sorry, that's my font space. I can go in and go whatever shape I kind of want. So I might go.
And again, just using that as a guide.
Yeah. So they're already like, I can go from a sketch to what, however you want to do what the, like whatever works for you.
Yeah. It's kind of like that kind of chiseled 3D kind of thing. Like we get that font from like when things were kind of carved in, right? Like
yeah.
Serifs are a bit thicker. And is that just experience, kind of knowing when and where to do that sort of stuff? You've done enough of this type of font that you know where to kind of have it thick and thin for the curves?
Well, I think that's a little bit of. I'll tell you that I don't research much, but you know, you watch people paint or you watch people do typography, and you can, I guess, grasp the concept of like how the brush itself works, or the pen, or you know, strokes up might be thicker than the ones down, or down will be thick and then up is thinner. And then I just take those kind of that knowledge and kind of build off it, I guess, and until it kind of feels like something that, I don't know, feels somewhat accurate. But like I said just before, I'm the least concerned about accuracy sometimes, unless like the job actually is crucial to, you know, accuracy itself. There's a lot of reasons why I don't think it needs to be. But yeah, I can go in and I can work on that kind of at my own pace and at my own speed. The only difference is when I work with like the base fonts and they're already got their width set in each part, I feel a bit more confident because I'll go in here and I'll think that this is okay. Then I'll say, oh, the one doesn't look thick enough, and I find myself over working it, and it ends up being like a font like this fat because I'm just like, I couldn't get it right. But it's all a little bit of trial by fire. So yeah, we're just gonna make this up as we go. So I can put my little postcode in there. Obviously the kerning, the is not there, not all the way there, but I can go in and
just move it around.
Yeah, tweak it a little bit, and who knows, it'll probably change. Like I said, I sit on these things and I look at them like a couple of hours later, I'm like, you know what, it needs to not be that.
It's these big fat lines.
Yeah, something fatter, or but yeah, you can see I can come up with like my own little. I guess what I'm trying to show you is like there's multiple ways to kind of get this sort of stuff happening.
Yeah.
You can use the base font, you can use whatever font you wish. But they're like it's only a slight step up, but now I can then again build further from there if I wish. But that's kind of the process for most of what I do that's type based is, you know, finding what font one ties in with the rest of the artwork, and
Yeah.
you know what helps the artwork and what helps kind of me do the job the quickest. So I might not even put it there. I might go up here, see how it looks up here, and then gap. And sometimes Photoshop, I forget, if you press shift it does this,
Yeah.
but then if you don't press shift, it feels like sometimes I do an update and it changes and I forget to change it back. And
I think the thing that trips us up is Illustrator and Photoshop work differently.
yeah, absolutely.
Which is the classic thing. You can turn it off.
There's an actual off, yeah?
Yeah, you can turn it off so that it goes back to kind of what it used to be. Because, yeah, us old folks who have been using Photoshop for a very long time, almost 35 years actually, Photoshop has been around for.
Damn,
believe it or
that
not.
is impressive.
And you know, it's just always been that way, and so just your muscle memory.
That's exactly what it is.
You know,
I just did it again. I continually do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I always thought shift was the lock, you know.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Right.
But yeah,
So
you can turn it off. I've never braved myself to turn it off though. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm more talk. I'm not going to change it. So now I can already see like I've got a few issues here that I'd probably have to spend some time retweaking this, which is fine. But maybe it looks better up here. It's kind of like ties in. Maybe it deserves something else in the middle. I can probably go bigger on these at the bottom. But in terms of kind of where all this goes from here, it's all kind of becoming a lot more refined and stuff like that. So now I'm just going to go in here and do a little bit of a warp here because I want it to feel like it's going with the banner.
That's cool. Yeah, I like it's not like a linear kind of process, right? Like you kind of get it down and then you've thickened it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Started from a box, then you've got the banner in there, and then maybe by the time you got to the end of it, it wasn't following the banner anymore. But it's like, all right, cool, let's get the warp tool out. Let's use that to help us.
So it's so quick to change. I think I want to move the heart because it's kind of two banners next to each other kind of isn't working, but maybe it's something like that. Maybe I can get another graphic for the family in the middle. Seems pretty fitting. That one can go down, and I just come up with something on this side. And I think that's kind of like our layout. Let's just, for the sake of my OCD, just get this over here so we know there's going to be something. Okay, so I might get another little graphic, and I think this is kind of starting to feel like exactly where I kind of want it. I can tweak. And then now it's kind of just a matter of kind of building off all these base shapes and kind of things that I've created and making this feel like one cohesive artwork. Obviously the text is quite bold, so maybe it's going to have some texture in it, or it's going to be just an outline. But when it comes to refining, I usually do all my art in vector. I would say 90% of the time, so I'm always in Illustrator. But for this kind of project, I think I'm going to stay in Photoshop. So what I would do, I just make another group of, I guess, a layer group, and I'm going to just call this one like black ink. How am I going for time? I'm almost out.
Yeah, a few more minutes.
Okay. Look, the process is exactly as you would think. I drop the opacity back, I get my hard round pressure, I go into a black layer, and I just start kind of like, oh, what's that? Let's get a bit of opacity there. The size down. So I just go in, one brush only.
Any particular brush? Or just using round?
Yeah, just a round hard pressure size. So obviously with the tablet, I can go in and, you know, do my pressure sensitivity and kind of let it kind of grow from that. Like,
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the tablet, I guess. But yeah, I don't really have to worry about too much changing sizes. But you can see I like to kind of like come on and off the pressure just so that it feels like there's a little bit of that kind of organic, natural like flow in the line. It's not all kind of feeling like very robotic is the term I'm going to use, very computer generated, because I get that a lot.
Yeah. And just that flatness, like it just adds so much depth. Like even just having a stronger outline and then thinner line work on the inside, it immediately gives you that idea. Yeah.
And then I might go through and start adding kind of shading, like wherever I see fit. And like I said, I do use Illustrator a lot. I don't, not a fan of Live Trace, but if I feel the need and it helps, I will use it. So I might just do this and get it to a refined state in another case scenario, and I would go into Illustrator and just having it like this, I know straight away I can like follow those as guidelines, and it's going to be so much easier to vector like this.
Right.
People say it's double handling, but I might only do the outlines and the major details, and then Illustrator will take care of my finesse, like, you know, the little dots, the little lines that I won't do in Photoshop because they don't translate well. But this is the process, and then it's just about kind of working it into making sure that each of these little artworks has the same kind of feel. You know, you don't want one to look more detailed than the other.
Right. Yeah.
So I might just like bounce between them. Obviously, I'd try to do more. And I'm zoomed all the way out.
So would you try and do like the line work in one sort of session as well? Like, because you kind of want to keep it. Does that help with the consistency?
Yeah, I actually would. I'd like to kind of do all of the outline in one night or whatever it is, because your brain just starts to focus on that's the pattern.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely the key to consistency. But yeah, I think that's kind of that's a very important thing to remember, is that like your brain switches off, it resets, and it kind of has to get back in a rhythm. Yeah. So yeah, but that's kind of, I'd go in and refine all these kind of little artworks, and yeah, that's kind of it, I think, for this part of the process. That's kind of it. We've got our text and our new arrangement, and it's starting to feel a bit more whole.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, all right. Well, we are out of time today for us. That was awesome, dude. We'll get you back on. We'll do kind of like the third one, I think. I think it'd be really cool to see the inking side of things as well. It'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do and show some tips and whatever I can give you. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dale. Until then, we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for sharing all those tips. And guys, we'll be back in 15 minutes with Bill Hope, who we mentioned Dale gave a shout out to before. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye.